Hi, I'm Julie. You've prepared thoroughly. You know the material. Then the CEO asks you a direct question and your mind just empties. The words you've had 30 seconds ago just gone. You hear yourself stumbling, hedging, or worse, going completely silent. Later, alone, you can think of every single thing that you should have said. It comes flooding back to you crystal clear. And you know it's not a knowledge gap. So why does this keep happening? Especially in the rooms that really matter. When you freeze in that boardroom and your mind goes completely blank, that's not a confidence problem, that's a survival response. So welcome to this week's show, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. All those boardroom issues that are stopping us being the version that we deserve to be because something is stopping us. So let's get ready. Just as a reminder, if anyone's watching this live, please do use the chat box if you've got any questions or comments that you want to put in, because it does get a little bit lonely up here sometimes. And if you're watching this on replay, do hashtag replay. And again, put all your questions in here and I'll do my best to come back to you. And please go along to Millicide Therapy and Coaching YouTube channel and please subscribe so that you'll get all the videos as and when they are available. So anyway, without further ado, let's get stuck into today's episode. Now, why you freeze in front of authority and why confidence isn't the fix. Now, I'm going to give you three quick moments that you might recognize, okay? And we're going to go into more details of these in a bit. But number one, the direct question from someone senior and suddenly you can't answer them. You just don't know. Number two, the presentation that you've rehearsed 20, 30, 40 times, but your voice goes thin and your thoughts scatter the moment you're in that room. The meeting where you had something valuable to add, but you stayed quiet for some reason and someone else said the thing that you were thinking and actually they said it less well and now they got all the credit for it. Just let those land for a moment. Now, have you experienced any of those moments or something similar to that? Tell me in the chat if you have. Now, remember, obviously, these are specifically boardroom examples, but they could be any examples at all. But when you've been in that room, when you're really prepared and something just kicks in and you go to pieces, it's very common, right? Now, it's important to understand that this isn't always about confidence. Your body's decided to be completely unaware of what's going on. And that senior person across you is a threat. That's what's going on in your subconscious mind. It's responding the way it was programmed to respond. Probably before you even, 8, 9, 10 years of age. It's running that subconscious programming. Now, your body doesn't care whether you've got 15, 20, 30, 50 years experience, because when you're in that moment, it's running that old program, basically your old identity. So the moment of conception to the age we are at the moment, that becomes our identity, and our beliefs are all created, not all, but many of them are created before we're even 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so that's where you're going back to, that child. Now, your brain might have files that authority figures are a danger to you very long time ago. And it's been faithfully executing that file ever since. So what we're saying here is, in your filing cabinet, aka your subconscious mind, if you see someone of authority, or maybe it's someone that you saw who frightened you even, when you're in these situations, if there's any transference and your body thinks that situation is the same, it's going to trigger the same feeling that you had when you were young. So I'm going to walk you through the mechanisms that may never have been explained to you properly, right? And this is what's happening in your body. Now, your nervous system is constantly scanning for threats. And it does that before your thinking brain has even registered what's going on. So just take that in for a moment. Your body's already reacted before the thoughts even come into your head, right? The moment it detects a potential threat, it overrides your thinking brain in milliseconds. And it triggers a freeze response, the same one that kept you safe as a child. And here's the part most people don't even realize. Your body physically shifts resources away from your prefrontal cortex. This is part of your brain that you need for words, to think clearly and access what you know. So in that moment, it's not that you don't know what to say. It's literally you can't access it. You can't find it in your brain because it's just frozen, if you like. And this happens faster than thought. So just take that in. So as we said, your thinking brain hasn't even finished registering the question before your body has already decided that you're not safe, that your body isn't safe to speak. And when you think about it like that, it's actually quite, I always say quite sad. I think it is quite sad, don't you? That you've done all the work, you're so successful, yet this part of you, this identity of you that you haven't discovered yet and haven't been able to fix is sabotaging you in all aspects, right? You know, that you freezing in that meeting could mean that they start doubting you, and they might have been considering you for that promotion, but now they're like, oh, hang on a minute, he can't even hold herself up in the boardroom, or she just stumbles on things and she doesn't come across confident. Now, these are all things that actually could impact what's going on for you in your career, in your job. And you've got no way of stopping it because it's happening in automatic mode. So I hope this is making sense, right? And I think it's important that you to understand that you can't think your way past something that happens faster than a thought. So you can do all the rehearsals you like. You can write as many notes as you like. You can over prepare. And it's all happening in the wrong part of your brain. The automatic reaction kicks in before you've had time to think. So you're training the thinking mind, but the reaction is coming from your body. You know, your whole mind and body are connected. I didn't realize that back in the day, but it is. And when I go through some of this, when I'm talking to you guys, it just brings back so many memories of, you know, when I thought I'd like really prepared really well, and then somehow I've skipped slides and then get stumbling on things and I lost my way, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And, you know, and sometimes you might bring out humor or you might bring out something else, but the point is you didn't come across the way you wanted to. And that hurts when you go and think about it and you're lying awake at 2 a.m. in the morning. That hurts, right? All the things that you really planned for and they just didn't really happen. And that is because you're thinking, overthinking things sometimes. Sometimes it could be that you're really what ifs and all that are going on in your head, and that's stopping you from really focusing as well. So when our body doesn't feel safe and our mind is overreacting, it causes all sorts of issues, and we can't basically be the person that we deserve to be and the person that we are really, had we not been impacted by our identity. So this was all learned when we were young, okay? So we learned early who was safe, but we also learned who had power over us. So that might be teachers, that might be parents, it might be other family members. It could be anyone who could approve or reject us. And that could just be through harsh words. It could be through physical reactions. It could be all different types of abuse, but it could just be just harsh words. And your subconscious mind has held that thought, held that physical reaction in your filing cabinet of life. And now it's coming out in those meetings or in whatever situation you're in. So your nervous system made an association that authority equals a potential threat. And here's the important part. It doesn't update that file based on your current reality. So now, decades later, your body is responding to a senior leader as if they hold the same level of power they did back then. So whether it is, you know, a parent or a teacher. I get a lot of issues with schools actually when I do what I call my deep dive sessions. There's normally a scene when something's happened at school. teachers can be great, but they can also have such a huge negative impact to our lives as well. So I'm sure you've all got stories of those that you could call, you know, you can come back. But this is all data that's held in your subconscious mind, right? And this is why confidence work doesn't fix it, because confidence lives in your thinking brain. But as we said, the response lives in your body. So if your body, your subconscious mind, doesn't believe that you're confident, maybe it believes you're not good enough, and who do you think you are, and who are you trying to, you know, pull this off in a meeting, that subconscious is going to come and hit you in the face in that physical reaction. Or it might be that, you know, we've talked before about blushing, but it's that subconscious programming. And that's why you can walk into a room feeling really confident, yet that freeze still kicks in the moment you set foot into that meeting room. So there is a difference between understanding why you do something and being able to stop doing it in real time. So let's just pause for a moment, and then I want to have a look to see if there's anything in the chat, but also I want to see if this is resonating. So drop a yes in the chat if you feel like this resonates with you. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if there's any comments in here. Team Julie's here, obviously, watching. Thank you very much. But yeah, if you're there, just drop me a message. And yeah, we've got a yes in here that definitely resonates. I think we can all have examples of that, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's in our businesses, whether it's in our relationships, when, you know, you want to say something, but it just doesn't come out right. I've done that a lot, still do. You know, it's life, right? So let's take a look at what really, really happens, right? So let's go a little bit deeper into some scenarios. So scenario one, this is the boardroom presentation. You've done this presentation loads of times, right? You almost know it off by heart. You know how it works. But today, the CFO is in the room. And suddenly you're speaking too fast, you're skipping slides, you're losing your thread. Your body's decided this was dangerous before you even opened your mouth. Now, what does that feel like? That might be heart palpitations. You might feel really tense, but the overthinking is kicking in, going, oh my God, what's he going to think of me? Oh my God, what if I say it wrong? And you've lost it. Scenario number two, the one-to-one with your boss's boss. They ask you what you think. It's just a simple question, but your mind goes completely blank and you hear yourself saying something vague and non-committal. And then later you replay this in 2 a.m. when you're lying awake and you can't get to sleep, knowing exactly what you should have said and really being angry and frustrated with yourself that you let yourself down because you saw their face and they were like, okay. And then maybe scenario three, the meeting where you stay silent. You have the insight that would move the conversation forward, but something in you won't let you speak. You watch someone else say it instead, less clearly. And actually, they've got the credit for it. It might have even been your idea. You might have even told them it. And now they're the ones with the, you know, the smiley face now, because they're the one that gave that great insight. And now you're cursing yourself. Now, it's the same mechanism, but different moments. Your body is reading authority as a threat, and it's responded accordingly. Remember, your mind's only job, your whole body's job, is to keep you safe. And if it thinks that you speaking in that meeting is going to cause you danger or harm you, it's going to do what it can to stop you. It feels counterintuitive, but that's the way it works, right? Because you're going back to being 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever it is. You're going back to being that child when you're in that moment. And that's what we need to fix, so that when you're in that meeting going forward, you can be the version of you at whatever age you are now. And you can be that confident person because you're not being dragged down your timeline of life to being that little child who was scared of that authority figure. Hope that was starting to make sense. But again, put anything in the chat if you any of those scenarios kind of resonate, or something different if you've got any other stories that have impacted you. So what I want to do now is to actually give you a tool and a technique that's going to help you in these situations. Because again, it's great knowing this stuff, but what's the point if you can't do anything about it, right? So I'm going to introduce you to a tool called the physiological sigh. Now, this is going to help you calm your mind and calm your body. And you're going to do it before you even go in the meeting, but you can also do it while you're in the meeting. And we learn a lot about this, you know, when you're doing talking and speaking, and you'll learn that you have to prepare yourself before you go on stage, or prepare yourself before you go and do something. And that will be doing some deep breathing, or it might be jumping up and down. You know, someone like Tony Robbins, if anyone's aware of him, I believe he just jumps on a little trampette and he jumps up and down to get his adrenaline up. So when he goes on stage, he's already alive. He doesn't go on the stage and go, oh, hello, you know, and, you know, so it's about preparing. And I would recommend doing this. You don't have to get a trumpet, obviously. You don't have to do anything as dramatic as that. But I'm going to teach you this, and then you can use it whenever you're going into a meeting room, whether it's on a telephone call, whether it's a Zoom call, any aspect of your life, really, because it's about calming your mind and body from whatever you were doing a couple of minutes ago to what you're going to go and do now, and change your state. Okay, so we're going to start with understanding that, again, that when we're in this situation, thinking your way out of it's not going to happen, because your body's already created this physical reaction. All right, so it is about, we have to calm our mind and calm our body before we can actually move forward. So we bring your nervous system out of survival mode so that you can start getting your mind to work again. Because until we do that, nothing else is going to land, and you're not going to be able to do your presentation. All right. So this means leaning into trusting your body. All right. So we're going to learn the early signals. Now, the early signals for you might be a tightness in the chest. It might be stiffness in your neck. It might be heart palpitations, if stomach's churning. It could be anything. Everyone's will be different, but you will know what your early signs are. Now, I had a client before who this was a particular big issue for, and they would start really overthinking, and then their heart would be pounding. And when they got into the meeting room, they couldn't focus, because all they kept thinking about was, oh my God, it's going to be my turn in a minute. Oh my God, it's going to be my turn in a minute. They couldn't listen to what everyone else was saying. And that's quite dangerous as well, isn't it? Because if you're not listening and reading the room, what you plan to say might not be that relevant now, because someone else has said something else. And then you just go and regurgitate the stuff, you know, just to get it out, but it might not be right, and everyone might be looking at you. So you really need to be in the room, literally in the room, mind, body at all times, so that you can engage in what other people are saying. And maybe you might offer some words of advice or something, or a comment that might be really helpful. But if you're consumed with, you know, I can't, oh my God, it's going to be my turn in a minute, I don't know what I'm going to say, that's not good. So what I'm going to teach you is very, very quick, and it's very, very easy. All right. And I will demonstrate it for you in a minute when I finish talking, because it's not easy to talk and do at the same time. So I want you to think of this as like an emergency brake pedal. So if you think of a car or something like that, when you feel, you know, your body is just overreacting, you do this, and it's like a brake. So it stops you in your tracks. And what it does, it sends an immediate signal to your brain that it's okay. She's safe. She's okay. All right. So what it is basically is you do a breath through your nose, you go, and then you do what we call a top-up breath, which is, and then you breathe out through your mouth. Now, you can do this when you're on your own. You can do this what I would call quite dramatically. But obviously, if you're doing this in a room of people, you might want to be a bit more calm with it. But this would be doing it what I would call dramatically, but it's not dramatic. But you're going to go, and let that breath just leave your body. So if you're watching this, do it with me and just go. It does make you go a little tiny bit lightheaded, but that means the blood is rushing around your body, and that's what we want it to do, because we want it to say, it's all right, I've put the brake on, I'm safe. But if you're in a meeting, right, say you've prepared and you've got into the meeting room and you feel all right, and then suddenly, you know, it's coming round to you, and all of a sudden you can feel it all happening, then you can do it while you're sitting in your chair, but you'll do it a little bit more less dramatically, whatever the word for that would be, right? So you're going to just go, and as long as you're doing the breath and letting it out, then you're doing a job, right? But obviously the more robustly you can do it, the more effective it is, but you can still do it, and you might need to do it a few more times. And then what I would recommend is do some other breathing after that. Now, I teach coherent breathing, which is breathing in for 6 and out for 6, all for your nose. And that really is really good about calming your mind and body. So I always recommend, if you do 2 or 3 rounds of the psychological sigh and then do the breathing, then you're going to be, even in sitting in that meeting room, you just carry on with that breathing, and it will just regulate your nervous system. All right. We'll go over it again in a little bit, but you'll notice the change happening. And what it does, as I said, it's sending that message to your nervous system, and it's saying, you're safe, you're calm. And then what you can do, just for a little bit of extra grounding, just put your feet flat on the floor, and then just feel the weight of your body in your chair, and just bring your attention kind of out of your head and back in the room. All right, so just feet on the floor, feeling the weight in your body, bring your attention out of your head and back in the room. And then you go, and maybe 3 times, depending on what you need. And then just breathe in. And when you're doing your breathing, you're breathing from your diaphragm. So because actually we don't know how to breathe properly. Quite often we're just breathing from our chest, and that doesn't help when we need to do a deep relaxational breath, because that's more when you're having an anxiety moment. You're breathing lightly from your chest, but you need to breathe from your diaphragm. Okay, because remember, this isn't about managing symptoms, it's about changing how your body responds in certain situations. And remember, you don't really have any control over it if you're not doing the breathing, because your subconscious program is kicking in. So this is what I want you to take away. When you freeze in front of senior leaders, it's not a confidence problem. It's your body running an old program that no longer serves you. Just let that land. All right. Now, you know that at the end of each show, I want to give you takeaways, but obviously you've got a great takeaway today of this breathing technique. So I want you to notice going forward from today onwards, or from the moment you watch this video, notice how you're feeling before you're going into any of these meetings. Maybe they're high stake meetings, maybe they're not, but just notice what you're feeling. Where is it in your body? Is it the tightness? Is it your jaw? Is it the shallow breathing? Just generally feeling a lot of attention, but just notice it. And then just do a couple of rounds of the physiological sigh. And then if you want, do the 6-6 breathing on top, because that's where change starts. So I'd actually recommend really making a conscious effort actually to do this and recognize this in your body, but also prepare. You know, we said about getting into the right state of mind before you go into these meetings. Start doing that. Look at the time, you go, right, I've got a couple of minutes left. I'm just going to lip to the loo before I go. I'm going to do a few, physical, psychological sighs, breathe in, and then you go and you open the door of that boardroom and you're in that state already, or picking up the phone or the Zoom, whatever it is. But just stop a few moments before you're going to do it. Don't just roll straight into it, because you're not going to be in that right state. You want to be in that calm state. And I promise you that will make a lot of difference for you. So let's just pause for a minute and see if there's anything going on in the chat. No. Oh, actually, we do. Oh, well, that did make me feel different straight away. So, yeah, it's very simple. It's very fast, and it really does impact you very, very quickly. So, like I said, just think of it as a brake pedal. As soon as you need to stop yourself in your tracks, put that brake pedal on. Do 2 or 3 or do as many as you need, really, and then just start breathing and just calming yourself down. So, you now understand why you freeze and why everything you've tried hasn't fixed it. But there's a difference between understanding why this is happening and having to stop it from happening. All right. So if you want to work out what's driving you, what's specifically causing these issues for you, that's what my upgrade game plan is for. Now, this is a free 45-minute session, just you and me on a one-to-one. And what we're going to do is we're going to dig in and find out what's going on for you deep underneath, just not the surface level, but underneath. And you'll walk away with a clear direction forward, whether we end up working together or not. All right. Now, there's only a few spots each week. So if you want one, then you'll find the link around us, or there's actually a QR code come up on the screen as well. So just QR that and you can book your space. Okay. So let's just do a quick recap. Remember, you can prepare as much as you like, but if you're freezing in front of authority, that potentially equals survival response, not a confidence problem. This response happens faster than thought, so you can't prepare your way around it. Your brain filed authority figures under danger before you were even probably 10. All right, and just a quick reminder of the technique. It's and if you have to do it in front of people, just do it a little bit more calmly. And then do your breathing. All through your nose. And you can do that without anyone noticing, right? And if 6 is too much, just do 4. You know, it doesn't matter. Just breathe using your diaphragm. So let's have one more quick look in the chat, see if there's anything going on there. So you've got your game plan that you can book. Use a link in there. And also, if you're watching this on replay, please do #replay. Please pop over to my YouTube channel, Milliside Therapy and Coaching, and please subscribe, because the more subscriptions and likes and comments we get, the more people will get to see this information. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you on next week's Upgrade Show. Take care, and I'll see you all next Wednesday at 11:30 or on the replay. Take care. Bye.